Hey, it's Sasha Evdokov, and welcome to BackstageIncome.com, where I share with you how money is made behind the scenes for your business and also in your life. Now, in this week's episode, what I'd like to do is focus a little bit more effort on email list building and email marketing. So the topic of discussion for this week is about figuring out the frequency of how often you should email your customer list or your newsletter list. Now, if you're new to list building or you're just getting started into list building, you probably know and have heard the importance of having a list or the value of having a list. Basically, when you have a list, you're able to connect to your customers at a deeper level. You're able to maintain a relationship, add value to them, and in the future, when you have a product or service that you want to offer, you can go ahead and email that out and they all get to see it because they're targeted. They're interested in your products or service or have had relationships with you in the past. Now, the more important question for this week's discussion is how often should you be emailing them or connecting with them? Well, the simple answer to that is to go ahead and email them or contact them as frequently as possible to the point where you're not overwhelming them, but also adding and contributing value to them. Now, if you think about this in terms of a restaurant, if you walk into a restaurant and the restaurant served you 50 plates filled with different kinds of things, you really don't know where to start and where to go. You're overwhelmed and it's just too much food. You wouldn't be able to eat it all, and in fact, you may even leave sick because you ate too much, depending on how good it was. And think about your email list in the same way. If you go to a premium restaurant, on the other hand, they typically serve you 4 or 5 little plates. Maybe it's a 5-course meal, but it's in stages to the point that it's digestible, to the point that you can actually eat it and you feel good walking away. And sometimes you may even walk away a little bit hungry because they give you that much or just the right amount to the point where you want a little bit more. So that's what you want to do with your email list, is give them enough value to the point where it tastes good, it feels good, you're adding value to their life, you're contributing to their life, but to the point where they're not overwhelmed. What you don't want to do is overwhelm them and have 40, 50 emails coming into their inbox, swarm them, and then they never get a chance to read it and they simply just delete it. And then from now on, what they normally do is just simply delete your emails, and that's what the habit becomes. So instead, focus on finding a frequency that works for your audience. Now, typically what I say is once a week is usually pretty good in terms of emailing your customer list. So if you're looking for a rule of thumb, usually once a week is more than enough. I used to go twice a week with one of my other newsletter lists, but I found that that was even a little bit more overwhelming. So for me now, in multiple lists that I have and multiple lists that I manage with thousands of different members, customers, and relationships that I'm trying to maintain, once a week is more than enough, at least for me and for those relationships that I'm trying to build. Because I don't want to overwhelm them. I don't want to crowd them. I want them to get some value from my information. I want them to get some insight from the things that I have to contribute. And that way we're still maintaining a relationship. If I do it too often, it may overwhelm them, scare them away, or they just may never get a chance to read the material. So if you're looking to set up a frequency or posting schedule for your newsletter list, look at figuring out where are the higher open rates. Are they more in the evening? Are they more in the morning? Is your customer more checking email very frequently? Are they more younger generation? Probably if they are, then they're checking their email more frequently. If they're an older generation, you may only need to send out one email every 2 or 3 weeks because they may not check their email that frequently, and then everything else that you send would be a waste. So why bother wasting your time and wasting that connection time with them if you could spend your time doing something else of more value for your customers? So figure out how frequently your customer can digest your information or your newsletter, and that's really how often you should be sending out your content or your newsletter. If they're more of a younger generation, such as mid-20s, they may be online more frequently and they may be able to digest 2 or 3 newsletters a week. On the other hand, if they're an older generation or people don't check their email as often, maybe they're more into farming and they're farmers who don't have a lot of internet access or don't go online that often because they're busy on the farm, then you may only need to send out that newsletter once every 2 to 3 weeks because they're busy taking care and doing other things in their life. So why bother and why waste your time creating newsletters and sending newsletters that they won't even get a chance to open? So figure out your demographic. What are they interested in? How often do they open? And that's how you set up the frequency. Once you figure out your frequency and posting schedule, just try to stick to that as consistent as possible. So that way they're not surprised or getting something at an unexpected time. It's kind of similar to a sitcom or a show. You get it every single Monday night, or you get it every single Wednesday night, and that way your show is coming on. So the same thing you want to do with your newsletter list. So hopefully this gave you some insight, and if you still have no idea regarding your customer, what you could do is go ahead and ask them. And if you don't know, start it once a week and see what happens. And if you want to go with just once every 2 weeks because you may not have the time, then start there, and later you can always increase the frequency if you so choose to. All right, I hope this video was helpful and insightful. And if you enjoyed this video and you're watching it on Backstage Income, excellent job, and continue watching some of the other mini courses that we have for free available on the website. But if you're not and you want to see some of those mini courses and some of the free video trainings that we have available, go ahead, click this link, and when you get there, enter your name and email address, and we'll send you some free goodies, free bonuses, and you'll get to see some of the other courses that we have available by just clicking around on the website. Now, if you just want to hang out on YouTube and see some of the other trainings that I have available, then just click some of the thumbnails right below this video and you'll continue learning with me. Thanks again for sticking around, and remember to do what you love, contribute to others, but most importantly, live life abundantly.